Imagine this, the last conscious mind in the cosmos goes silent. No more thoughts, no more observers, just a vast, indifferent silence stretching forever. Does the universe go on, or, without awareness to perceive it, something fundamental vanished too? We're told the cosmos doesn't care if we're here, that stars burn, galaxies collide, and time flows whether anyone is watching or not. But modern physics and ancient wisdom aren't so sure. Quantum mechanics shows us that particles exist in a haze of possibilities until observed. Nothing becomes definite, real, until something conscious intervenes. And in the East, traditions like Advaita Vedanta suggest awareness isn't something that arises from the world, it's what the world arises in. In this video, we'll explore a radical possibility that consciousness may not be a side effect of the universe, but the condition for its existence. And that if all awareness ends, the universe might not remain in any meaningful way. We'll travel through physics experiments that suggest reality waits to be witnessed before it crystallizes. We'll enter thought experiments where no minds are left and ask, does time still tick? Do events still unfold when nothing is there to know them? And we'll listen to the voices of mystics and philosophers who propose that consciousness is not only fundamental, but eternal. By the end of this journey, you may no longer see awareness as something personal or passing. You might start to feel that every flicker of perception is part of something cosmic. That consciousness isn't in the universe. The universe might be in consciousness. As always on this channel, we're not claiming absolute truth. We build each episode on real research, from physics to philosophy, but in questions this deep, certainty is rare. We put a great deal of care and love into crafting each journey, not to tell you what to think, but to offer a space for deeper reflection. If that curiosity lives in you, if you've ever sensed that your awareness is more than a biological accident, then welcome. You're not watching a video. You're standing at the edge of a mystery. One that begins where the last thought ends. Subscribe to the channel and let's begin. Consciousness rarely announces itself. It doesn't shine like a star or weigh like a planet. Yet everything we've ever known, every color, sound, and thought, has passed through its invisible gate. We treat it like a background function, something the brain does while the real world happens outside. But beneath that assumption, a deeper possibility waits. Some scientists have looked into the heart of physics and found something strange. Our most fundamental theories can describe what the universe does, but not what it's like to experience it. Equations account for particles and fields, but they go silent on the presence that registers them. Roger Penrose, in his collaboration with anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff, suggested that consciousness might originate not from brain chemistry alone, but from microscopic quantum events inside the brain's own architecture. A kind of collapse, objective, physical, yet interwoven with awareness. This view unsettles the idea that consciousness is just a fortunate accident. It hints at a different role, less as a product, more as a partner in reality's unfolding. In the language of certain Eastern philosophies, this isn't a new idea. Advaita Vedanta doesn't place awareness inside the body. It sees the body, the mind, even the world itself, as forms arising within awareness. In this vision, consciousness isn't something happening inside a person. It's what allows a person and a universe to appear. If this is even partly true, then consciousness isn't a side character in the cosmic story. It's more like the stage. Its disappearance wouldn't simply remove observers. It might dissolve the very structure that gives the universe coherence. This isn't about declaring consciousness a force like gravity or magnetism. It's subtler than that. Gravity bends space, magnetism guides electrons, but consciousness makes the bending visible. It makes guidance meaningful. Without it, nothing is illuminated. Some physicists have leaned toward panpsychism, the idea that awareness, in some form, is a basic feature of matter. Not human-like awareness, not thought, just the capacity to feel, however faintly, embedded at every scale. From this angle, consciousness doesn't emerge at a certain complexity. It reveals itself in degrees, like light through fog. And yet, we rarely notice it. We look for truth in distant galaxies, in particle collisions, in numbers and probabilities. Meanwhile, the one thing that's been present in every moment of discovery, is the one thing we can't measure directly: the experiencer. What makes a sunset beautiful? A child's gaze? A question feel sacred? None of these can be reduced to mechanics. They arise when reality becomes conscious of itself. This is not about placing humanity at the center. Consciousness is not limited to the human story. If it is fundamental, then it was here before us and may exist in forms beyond us. Perhaps it is diffuse, ambient, or threaded through the universe like music through air. What changes if all of this is true? Only everything. If consciousness ends, it's not just silence that follows. The shape of existence itself might shift, not with a bang, but with the fading of the only presence that could know it was ever here. In the quiet mathematics of quantum mechanics, something strange begins to surface. The equations suggest a world of shimmering possibilities, states not fixed, but fluid. A particle isn't here or there. It is both and neither until something intervenes. That intervention is called observation. But what exactly does that mean? At first, it sounds straightforward. You measure a system and the system changes. But as physicists began to look closer, the simplicity unraveled. They found that observation doesn't merely reveal a particle's position, it seems to decide it. The act of measurement collapses a cloud of probabilities into a single outcome. Before that, reality remains suspended, undefined. This idea sits at the heart of quantum theory's most unsettling problem: the observer. Not as a passive witness, but as a participant, a presence that somehow completes the equation. Schrödinger's cat was a metaphor for this dilemma, a thought experiment showing how, without observation, even life and death become probabilities. And then came Wigner's friend, a scenario where one observer sees a collapse, while another sees superposition. The implication is subtle but vast. Different minds may inhabit different realities until a shared awareness aligns them. But who qualifies as an observer? Is it any interaction, any instrument? Or does the conscious act of noticing hold a deeper weight? John Wheeler once imagined a universe that requires participation, that observation across time threads meaning into the cosmos. In this participatory model, even ancient quantum events are shaped retroactively by acts of awareness. The present becomes a co-author of the past. It's not a theory many feel comfortable with. And yet, the mathematics leaves room. Without consciousness, without the strange finality of being known, quantum states hang suspended. They don't resolve. They remain fields of pure potential, never stepping into form. If the universe were stripped of every perceiver, every witness, would the wave functions still collapse? Or would they continue, endlessly uncertain, infinitely incomplete? Some physicists propose that decoherence handles the collapse, that interactions with the environment are enough, but this solution avoids the question of experience. Collapse may occur physically, but awareness gives it meaning. We don't just measure, we register, we notice, we know. And perhaps that knowing carves a boundary between unrealized and real. This doesn't mean the universe halts when we sleep. It suggests something more intimate, that consciousness is the condition in which outcomes become facts. Without it, there may still be structure, still be motion, but not event, not presence. Just patterns waiting for recognition. In this way, the observer isn't outside the system. It completes the system. It stitches together a world from fragments of probability. It makes the undefined definite. If we follow this thread, even tentatively, we arrive at an uneasy possibility. Without awareness, the universe may not vanish, but it may never arrive. It hovers, silent and indeterminate, like a sentence waiting for someone to read it. Picture a horizon with no thoughts moving toward it, a cosmos vast beyond comprehension, yet empty of anyone to comprehend. No eyes remain to follow the light of ancient stars. No memory holds the shape of things. The last mind has gone silent. There is no grief, no witness, just the possibility of a universe, spinning without anchor, unconfirmed. It's difficult to imagine because imagination itself no longer exists. The question becomes quiet but pressing. What continues when there is no one left to notice continuation? Time, as we understand it, depends on change, and change requires contrast, something to compare now with before. Without consciousness, does time still flow? Does gravity bend space? Do particles move, decay, or arrange into galaxies? Or do these concepts only function within a framework that includes someone, somewhere, to interpret them? Some thinkers propose that what we call the universe is a kind of unfolding computation, an informational process that gives rise to physical structures. Marcus Müller has suggested that observer states, rather than physical systems, could be the fundamental building blocks of existence. According to this idea, reality emerges from patterns of experience, not the other way around. If those patterns dissolve, what remains? David Bohm offered a different lens. In his view, the universe is a hollow movement, a continuous, flowing whole where everything is enfolded within everything else. Consciousness, in this model, does not sit apart from the physical. It participates in the unfolding. Without awareness, the dance continues, but its rhythm loses reference. There is motion, but no meaning. Form, but no knowing. This isn't about dramatizing emptiness. It's about stepping into the logical edge of what presence means. If reality depends on relationships between object and observer, event and memory, then the disappearance of all observers may not just mark a silence. It could indicate the unraveling of relationality itself. In such a state, causality might persist in theory, equations would still describe potential outcomes, but nothing would actualize. Like a story never told, a melody never played. The structures remain, but the song is missing. Some might argue this changes nothing. The universe was never aware to begin with. Others sense a gap, an intangible absence that alters the nature of being. Not through destruction, but through disengagement. The fabric doesn't tear, it simply ceases to reflect. This is not a claim that awareness is all there is, only a glimpse into what the absence of awareness might entail, a world no longer mirrored, a cosmos without echo. In this thought experiment, what ends is not just sensation or thought. What ends is participation, the dialogue between world and witness. When that dialogue stops, something essential goes still, not because matter disappears, but because the possibility of meaning no longer circulates. And yet, even imagining this absence draws us back into awareness. The mind turns to look at the edge, and in doing so, reanimates it. What we call the end may only be a shift in texture. The form dissolves, the name fades, but something beneath both remains quiet and aware. Across spiritual traditions and speculative science, this is where the inquiry turns inward, not toward what consciousness does, but what it is when stripped of identity, memory, and thought. In Vedantic philosophy, awareness is not believed to be born or extinguished. It is considered ever-present, untouched by experience, yet the container of all experiences. It does not arise from matter. Matter appears within it. The Upanishads speak of it as the unchanging witness, not trapped in the cycle of birth and death, but gently observing it. Tibetan Buddhism moves carefully around the same mystery. In its teachings, consciousness is neither an object nor a self, but a luminous clarity, empty of fixed nature, yet vividly aware. What we lose in death is structure. What may remain is presence, unformed, a continuity without story. Modern voices have begun to echo these ancient intuitions in unexpected places. Robert Lanza's biocentrism proposes that life and consciousness are not latecomers in the universe, but primary. Space and time are constructs emerging from observation, not the stage upon which observation plays. In this frame, consciousness doesn't vanish, it rearranges. The end of an individual mind may be like a wave receding into the ocean, not disappearance, reabsorption. These perspectives don't deny death. They recognize its surface. The body quiets, the personal ceases. But what animates perception, the gentle hum beneath the thoughts, may not be so easily erased. Even in quantum models, there are whispers of recurrence. In certain interpretations of the Everett model, all possible observer states continue, branch by branch, through configurations we cannot perceive. Minsky's extended Everett concept imagines consciousness as the thread that moves across these branches, preserving continuity in ways no single moment could hold. Whether these are metaphors or mechanisms is hard to say, but they invite reflection on the scale of being. Perhaps consciousness doesn't survive as an entity, but persists as a condition. Not individual, not personal, ambient. Like gravity, it doesn't need a name to be present. When people speak of near-death experiences, of dreams that feel more real than waking life, of silences that pulse with knowing, they are often touching something beyond narrative, a place where awareness isn't doing anything. It just is. This final layer isn't about comfort. It doesn't erase the mystery. It deepens it. If consciousness cannot truly end, it may not truly begin either. It flows beneath beginnings and endings, untouched by time, yet expressing itself through each moment of it. We are trained to seek permanence through form. But some traditions teach that what endures is what cannot be seen. The clarity that watches the sky, not the shape of the clouds. The sense that something always remains open, even as everything changes. There may never be proof that awareness continues, but sometimes, in the stillest hours, it doesn't feel like something we believe. It feels like something we remember. If all awareness vanished, would anything notice? It's not a question that needs an answer. It lingers, weightless, like the final breath of a mind the universe will never see again. If consciousness ends, truly ends, there is no thought to witness the silence, no presence to hold the loss, just the shape of a world that may never resolve into being. Still, something in us listens. That act alone changes the tone of the question. Awareness, however fleeting, pulls reality into focus. A glance, a pause, the quiet realization that every moment observed is a moment made real. This doesn't mean the universe bends to our will. It means awareness gives it texture. It completes the loop. Existence stops feeling like a static object and starts humming like a conversation, one that unfolds only when someone's there to hear it. Maybe that's what consciousness offers, not control, but confirmation, a way the cosmos recognizes itself. And maybe that means you, right now, listening, are not separate from that recognition. You are participating in the conditions that allow anything to appear at all. No belief is needed, only attention. And if that question opens something in you, follow it. And follow us by subscribing to the channel. Just like that last breath in the dark, the one we imagined at the beginning, your awareness may be the echo that keeps the universe from slipping entirely into dreamless sleep. Thanks for watching.